Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jared Palley's Fragrance Reviews. Tonight we're going to be investigating a giant from the 1980s in the men's fragrance industry. This fragrance is known as Giorgio for Men by Giorgio Beverly Hills, which came out in 1984, and this is an EDT eau de toilette concentration. So this is classified as a woody Oriental scent. So let's travel back to 1984, and that's what I love the most about the 70s and 80s fragrances. They are definitely, the good ones are time travel in a bottle. I do not think that the fragrances of the 2000s are going to give you that same feel. These are definitive the fragrances from the 70s and 80s, and like I said, it brings you back to a very different time. And I haven't smelled this fragrance in a long period of time. My bottle's about 10 years old, but every time I smell it, I love it more and more. So again, this is a giant in the world of men's fragrances. My bottle, like I said, is about 10 years old, but I have not tried the vintage. That's the one thing I would like to say. So I'm confining my review to this bottle. So like I said, every time I smell this fragrance, I am more and more impressed with it, especially because I'm smelling so many modern types of fragrances. So this is definitely not an outdated fragrance. It's just a matter of, is this your taste? Is this what you like? So I'm gonna give it a spray in the back of my wrist. So I get initially a very fizzy, soapy smell that's fruity and sour at the same time. Very appealing. I don't mind a little bit of sour soapiness in my fragrances. But as it dries down, it starts to definitely become more earthy. And I would say it has a bit of like a dark, earthy citrus. Then you get some sweet spices mixed in there, but you definitely get some red floral notes as well. It's still fizzy, but in the first dry down, you definitely get some kind of some cosmetic powdery vibes, which I really like. Definitely masculine at this point. Later on, it becomes a little bit warmer, a little bit sweeter in the spice, still soapy, little bit of, like you would say, like peppery spice. It has the earthy citrus, but then there's a little bit of a shift. It starts to become a little more resinous, balsamic-like. You have a little bit of vanilla, which seems to be, the whole fragrance seems to be lightly coated with like a sweet honey scent. So overall in this fragrance, there's a lot going on. There's many shifts, there's many changes. Then there's a late dry down, which I find becomes a little more earthy, a little more vanilla-like, but that is several hours down the road as the fragrance starts to spray. There are many notes in this fragrance, so I'll go over them. The top notes are aldehydes, orange, bergamot, and various fruity notes. The mid notes are patchouli, rose, carnation. Those are the floral notes I was talking about. You also have cinnamon, sandalwood, orris root, and cedar. The base notes in this fragrance are oak moss, honey, benzoin, amber, musk, vanilla, and tonka bean. So I would imagine when this fragrance first came out in the splash bottles of the 80s, because I did know someone that had a splash bottle of it, and it was a travel size. It was a Giorgio Beverly Hills travel size. I think my grandfather maybe even got it for Christmas, and it was a little small bottle, so I did smell it at one time, but I was always kind of enamored with the older gentlemen when I was young that were wearing these scents and these fragrances, and that's where I probably got most interested in fragrances. And I think most gentlemen do, is when their father, their uncle, their grandfather wears something. You say, wow, I don't wear anything. I may not necessarily want to smell like them, but I do find this interesting. And that's how I became interested in fragrances. And this is one I definitely, one of the first fragrances I recall maybe in the late 80s, early 90s. My grandfather was staying at our house, and he had his suitcase, and he had a few other ones. I think it was Old Spice and some type of skin brace or something of that nature. Pretty simple stuff, but this was a little more elaborate, and I guess you could say a little bit more sexy for a grandfather to wear. So performance on this is spectacular, about 7 to 8 hours. It stays on your clothes for days. Great scent wafts, great bubble. It's a vintage style, but it doesn't have the old man vibe. There's only a few fragrances that have that, and that's usually from certain citrus notes, I find, the sour citrus notes. But this one, very appealing, very lovely. It's worth exploring, I think, for anybody in their mid-20s and up. And if you want to try something different, this is not an expensive fragrance. Like, incredible value for what you get. And to me, it's definitely not dated. You just have to figure out how to wear it. How many sprays, what environment you can wear it in. Maybe you want to layer it with something else. But I do think this is an awesome quality fragrance. 2 thumbs up. And I would just say this is one of my all-time favorite fragrances because it's so good that it can transport you back to a certain time, let's say 35, 40 years ago. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Any comments or questions you have, leave them down below and I'll always get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.